Greetings YouTube, this is Sixus, and today I will be discussing what I consider to be the top 10 best ritual spells in the game. Now seems like a good time to bring this up, as I doubt we're going to be seeing any new ritual spells anytime soon, due to Konami performing quick play spells, and now with the Megalith archetype, monster effects in order to perform ritual summons. Starting off the list, we have Cycle of the World. This is the newest ritual spell for Demise and Ruin, which has the graveyard effect of shuffling itself into the deck and searching out the older ritual spell, End of the World. Then you can recover a Demise or Ruin from your grave. While being able to set up for another ritual summon is appreciated, there are two issues. Firstly, that the graveyard effect is on a turn delay. And secondly, for a ritual summon using this card, you have to only use monsters from your field as materials, not your hand, which is definitely a drawback, especially since the supreme versions of Demise and Ruin prefer using ritual monsters exclusively as their materials. At number 9, we have no such issues, as Chaos Form can not only use monsters from the hand or field as materials, but it can also banish either Dark Magician or Blue Eyes White Dragon from the graveyard for the ritual summon. And that aspect is the best part about this card, as due to how both Dark Magician and Blue Eyes White Dragon are being listed in this card's text, you can search out using Magician's Rod, Dark Magic Inheritance, Dark Magical Circle, or even Bingo Machine Go, while also having access to the typical ritual support cards such as Manju and the Incantations, which in combination makes this a highly searchable ritual spell, which can also summon out some of the more powerful ritual monsters. Up next, we have a sealed entry as we look at both Machine Angel Ritual and Hymn of Light. Both of these cards have nearly identical graveyard effects, that being if a light monster or ritual monsters would be destroyed, you can banish this card from the graveyard. So yeah, pretty much the same thing, only difference is one works with light other than ritual, and given that they're light rituals, yeah, a lot of overlap. And I personally found this to be beneficial in Duel Links around the time that Machine Angel Ritual got hit on the ban list. And outside of Duel Links, Hymn of Light is still highly appreciated due to the level of its monster being compatible with the levels of both Benton and Edaton, while having the added benefit of pre-prep searchability. And at number 7, we have one of the most unique ritual spells, that being Gishki Photomirror, which allows you to ritual summon a Gishki monster without a tribute, as you use your life points as the sacrifice. Specifically, you pay 500 times the monster's level, which does make it one of the few ritual summons that you can perform using only 2 cards. That being said, the payment does make this a bit of a heavy cost, given the levels of the Gishki ritual monsters. Yeah, don't try and summon Zero Gigas for this. But at least it does lack the downsides associated with Forbidden Arts of the Gishki, which have 2 notable drawbacks. That being no longer being able to conduct your battle phase, and that the monster's attack is cut in half. You still get to keep the monster, and the monster has no downsides to it, you just have a higher cost. The 6th card on the list is the Good and Evil in the Burning Abyss. This is the ritual spell used to summon Malakota, Netherlord of the Burning Abyss. While it has the typical ritual summon restrictions of most ritual spells, the most important feature of this card is its graveyard effect, which, similar to Cycle of the World, is on a turn delay. This effect is that by banishing this card from your grave, you can send any Burning Abyss monster from your hand to your grave, and then you can add any Burning Abyss card from your deck to your hand. It's self-included. So in other words, by triggering the effect of a Burning Abyss monster, you can get unrestricted searching for any card in the entire archetype, while also working with pre-prep, which makes this really good in terms of consistency. Though not as consistent as the next card on the list, that being Impcantation Inception, which can be used for any ritual monster, much more generic, But the only restriction is that the materials must only be Impcantation monsters. And its graveyard effect is not delayed. And it is to send one Incantation card from your hand or field to the graveyard. Then you get to summon any Incantation monster from your deck, which will trigger its effect. And this card is then returned to your hand, allowing it to be immediately set up for another ritual summon. And the final four, we have Revendread Evolution. This Revendread ritual spell lets you ritual summon any Revendread monster from your hand or graveyard, one of the 5 cards with that wording, while using Revendread monsters from your hand, field, and or deck as the materials. Which does mean that this card and Archetype Advent are the only 2 ritual spells that can perform a ritual summon while being the only card in your hand. Granted, Advent is much more situational, and this card destroys the monster at the end of the turn, so where you can have everything. At the 3rd spot, we have Advanced Ritual Art. Due to how this card sends normal monsters from your deck to the graveyard as tribute, much like what I said about Gishki Photomirror, this card can also act as a 2-card ritual summon, and unlike Revendread Evolution, you don't lose your monster before your next turn. It is due to this and the generic nature of Advanced Ritual Art that I chose to put this card ahead of Evolution. And in 2nd place, we have my personal favorite, Super Soldier Synthesis. This card can ritual summon either of the 2 BOS ritual monsters from your hand or graveyard by sending a light monster and a dark monster, one from your hand and one from your deck, to the graveyard. The reason I placed this above Evolution is due to how, unlike the Revendread Evolution main deck monsters only granting their effects to a ritual if they're tributed from the field specifically, both Beginning Night and Evening Twilight Night can grant their effects to a monster summoned through this method, making it much more synergetic with the cards in the archetype than Revendread Evolution. Finally, we have Nekroz Kaleidoscope. I really just need to bring up 2 points about this card. 1, it can ritual summon any number of Nekroz ritual monsters, making this the only card that can ritual summon multiple monsters at the same time. And secondly, it can use a monster from the extra deck as tribute. That is all. And that, in my opinion, are the top 10 ritual spells. Feel free to tell me what you thought of the list, and thanks for watching.